Hello and welcome. I am so glad that you're here today. I've been thinking about this moment, about you, about what brought you here, and now we finally get to do this work together. I also know this room holds pain for you. I know that you almost didn't click to join. I know that you're here with a shattered heart, wondering if anything can help, if you'll ever get relief. But the fact that you're here anyway, that's the beginning of healing. That's the beginning of strength. And you are responsible for taking that step. So before we do anything else, before we dive into any of the content, I want you to just pause with me for one moment and take a breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. Nice long exhale. And please hear these words. You are not alone in this. I promise you're really not. You're safe here in this space, in this moment, and I am going to walk you through this every step of the way. Whatever happened, whatever you're feeling, however you're falling apart right now, it all makes sense. All of it. Checking phones at 3 in the morning, it makes sense. The crying in your car so your kids don't see, that also makes sense. That feeling like you're going completely crazy, you are not going crazy. You're having a completely normal response to something that should never have happened in the first place. So be here with me just as you are, messy, hurting, maybe still in your pajamas. I do not care. The only thing I care about is that you made it here at all. You are exactly where you need to be right now. We are going to figure this out together. Also, a note, if you're worried about holding all of this information, you can let that all go. I'm recording this masterclass and you will get a replay in your email. For those of you who don't know me yet, hello, my name is Dr. Cammy Froude, and I'm a licensed couple and trauma therapist. Betrayal recovery is one of my specialties, and it is such a huge part of my work. I have a PhD in human development and family studies, and I'm certified in EMDR trauma therapy, and then also Gottman method for couples. I'm also the very proud author of a book called Healing Trauma Together, which is a guide for couples to strengthen their relationship as they heal through the process of complex trauma. Over the years, I've had the honor of working with hundreds of couples who are navigating infidelity. And I have to tell you, this topic, it really has come so close to my heart and my spirit. I've done a lot of training on how to help people, both individuals and couples, heal from this kind of deep, deep betrayal. This work really has become some of the most meaningful of my life. It's also been some of the hardest. But I'm so deeply grateful to do this work, grateful to every single couple who has trusted me enough to invite me into the most tender, vulnerable parts of their lives. That trust is sacred to me. And while I bring my therapeutic training to this space, today we're in teaching territory, not therapy territory. So even though I am a licensed therapist, today I'm here in an educational capacity for you. I'm going to share with you what I've seen actually work and what doesn't when it comes to healing from betrayal trauma. Even though this isn't a therapy session, it is a real opportunity to learn about the recovery process and understand what your body and nervous system are going through. But before I tell you more, I want to share why this work really matters to me. One of my favorite authors is Chicana theorist Gloria Anzaldúa, and she gave us a concept called Nepantla. Nepantla, it's an indigenous Mexican term, and it describes the space between worlds. It's the space where you're no longer who you were, but you're not yet who you're becoming. She called this the space where transformation happens. And that's exactly where betrayal puts you. It puts you in Nepantla. You're no longer the person who blindly trusted, but you haven't yet become whoever you are going to be on the other side of this. You're suspended between the relationship you thought you had and then whatever comes next. It's disorienting, it's terrifying, and it's also where the deepest transformation becomes possible. As a couples trauma therapist, betrayal is the number one reason people reach out to me. And what I've learned is this: the deepest healing does not happen in the mind, it happens in the body, in that messy animal wisdom of your nervous system learning slowly, painfully, beautifully that it's safe to come home to yourself once again. If you're here, I'm guessing that life is very upside down for you. You toss and turn all night, your mind races at a million miles per hour with all the what ifs. Even though you know deep down it's making things worse, you're checking phones at 2 a.m. You may have become someone you don't recognize, obsessive and desperate, completely unlike yourself. You torture yourself, reviewing details that devastate you ultimately. But on the other hand, you feel like you need those details just to feel safe. You go through emails and text messages and other messages over and over again, trying to find solace in the chaos. The fear then begins to broaden. You start questioning every memory from years ago, wondering what was real and what was a lie. Every birthday, every anniversary, every moment where your partner stepped out for a quick business call. It's all under the microscope. It's all up for scrutiny. Your whole life, everything you thought was true. Maybe it was all a sham, is what you think. It's emotional quicksand. If any of this resonates, I completely hear you. This is so hard. And I want you to know that what you're experiencing is a normal response to betrayal. You are not losing your mind. Your nervous system is doing exactly what it's designed to do when your safety is threatened. Your body is not betraying you, even though it feels like it is. Your body is trying to protect you. It's doing exactly what bodies have done for millions of years when the bond we depend on for survival is threatened. Maybe the betrayal just happened, or maybe you're finally admitting that what you did years ago wasn't actually healing. Maybe you're fighting to save your relationship, or you have already packed your bags. Wherever you are in this hot mess, you're in the right place. Remember the concept of Nepantla I talked about earlier? It's that space in between who you were and who you're becoming. Nepantla is not just an abstract concept. It's where you wake up every single morning. You're standing at a crucial threshold in your life right now. You're no longer the person who trusted without question, but you haven't yet stepped into whoever you're becoming on the other side of this repair process. And as disorienting and painful as this space is, it's also sacred ground. This is where transformation happens. Today, we're going to talk about why betrayal hits so hard, why it feels so different from other kinds of pain and trauma. I'm also going to share the three biggest mistakes I see people make when they're recovering from betrayal and just can't get to the other side of suffering. These are the mistakes that keep you stuck in that constant state of hypervigilance, the ones that actually prevent you from ever feeling safe again. And here's the thing: these mistakes are understandable. They make total sense given where you are and what you've been through. They also keep you really trapped. So let's flip the script. And instead of telling you what doesn't work, I'm actually going to walk you through what works: a trauma informed approach that treats betrayal as what it really is: a nervous system injury that needs specialized healing. But it's even more than that. This betrayal rupture can actually become a doorway to coming home to yourself in a way you may never have before. There's a French philosopher named Gaston Bachelard, and he spent his whole life studying how we experience space and intimacy. And he wrote something that always stuck with me. The house we were born in is physically inscribed in us. What he meant is that our first experiences of safety, of being held and protected, they literally live in our bodies forever. And when betrayal happens, it's not just a promise someone broke. It's that the house you built together, this space where you learn to feel safe as an adult, collapses. And you're left trying to find your way home to yourself in the rubble when you didn't even destroy the house in the first place. And that's exactly what we're doing today. We're learning how to rebuild the house of your body, how to make it safe to live inside yourself again. By the end of our time together, you're going to understand why you feel the way you do. And here's my promise, you'll know what to do next. And if you want more support after this, I've got you. But first, let's get into what actually works. If you're here, there's a good chance you're in a tremendous amount of pain right now. Some of you may be barely holding on. I see you. I really do. And I want you to get the help that you need. This masterclass will outline great tools and a blueprint for moving forward, but it is not a substitute for professional mental health care. So if you're in a crisis, if you're having thoughts of harming yourself or someone else, you get immediate support. Reach out for help. Call or text 988 for the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. They're amazing there. They really are. You can also contact a licensed mental health provider. And of course, you can go to the emergency room. There is no shame in getting the help you need. The program I'm sharing today is a wonderful complement to therapy, but it is not a replacement. You also might be wondering if it's too soon or too late for you. I know that when you're in this much pain, it can feel like nothing matters. You'll never feel better, like time has just stopped. But here's why this work matters so much and why addressing it now actually makes a difference. Every single day that you stay in this dysregulated state, your nervous system is learning that love is not safe and that this is not just about your current relationship. This is about your relationship with yourself, with your children, with every future connection that you'll have. Your body holds memory, not just cognitive memory, like I know what I ate for lunch on Tuesday, but cellular memory, somatic memory, the kind that lives in your tissues. It's like the way you hold tension in your shoulders and your clench your jaw when you're sleeping. Your body is writing a story right now. And the story it's writing is love is dangerous. Intimacy is a threat. Opening my heart means getting hurt again and again and again. That story doesn't just live in your thoughts, though. It lives in your nervous system. And if you don't address it, if you don't help your body write a different story, that is going to become the template for every relationship you have moving forward. This also includes the young people in your life too, your children and your family. Not because you're going to inappropriately disclose elements of the infidelity or burden them with adult problems. It's more nuanced than that. They feel your nervous system. They read your body like we read a book. When you startle, kids learn to be on alert. When you go silent or numb, they learn that feelings are not safe. When you monitor and control, they learn that trust is naive. That's what Bachelard meant when he wrote about the house being inscribed in us. When betrayal happens, the house you built together, where you learned to feel safe as an adult, that house collapses. And you're left trying to find your way home through this rubble that was never yours to begin with. We are going to learn how to rebuild that house. The betrayal invited you, not by choice and certainly not willingly, but it invited you nonetheless into a deeper relationship with yourself, with your own body, with your own capacity to survive what you thought would destroy you. You've you're already going through this. There is no question about that. But here's what you do get to choose. Will you let this break you open or will it just break you? Whether you're 2 days out or 2 years out, whether you're reconciling or separating, this work matters. Your healing does not and should not depend on anyone else's choices. It only depends on your own. Let me take a minute and explain what's actually happening in your nervous system. Once you understand the neurobiology, I think a lot more is going to make sense to you. When you discovered the betrayal, whether it was last week or last year, your amygdala, which is basically your brain's alarm system, went into overdrive. It's now stuck right there. It cannot tell the difference between what happened then and what's happening now. Because everything feels like danger to your amygdala. Everything, every single thing is just alert. Meanwhile, your hippocampus, that's the part of your brain that organizes memories and helps you understand time, has gone offline. This is why you feel like you're in a fog every day. This is why you can't remember if something happened Tuesday or 2 weeks ago. It's why you keep obsessing over the same details, trying to make them make sense. Your brain literally cannot organize this experience into a coherent story. And here's what's happening up front, your prefrontal cortex. This is the most involved part of your brain, and it's right here behind your forehead. It's flooded and overwhelmed. This part of your brain handles your logic, planning, decision making, emotional regulation, and impulse control. When you're chronically stressed, it goes offline. This is why you feel like you've lost a part of your identity. It's why you're making decisions you wouldn't normally make. But you haven't lost yourself. Your brain is just in survival mode. And in survival mode, only survival matters. This is not just psychological, it's physiological. Your body literally thinks you're in real danger, and your brain, it's just following suit. You are not crazy. You are not weak. Your nervous system is doing exactly what it has evolved to do. The problem is that the strategies it's using to keep you safe are actually the same ones that keep you stuck. Now, I want to talk about the three biggest mistakes I see people make when they're trying to heal from betrayal. Please hear me. These are completely understandable responses. They make total sense based on what you've been through. And they are keeping you stuck in trauma instead of helping you heal. So if you see yourself in some of these, take it as a learning moment. This is not a call out. You are doing the best you can. I know you and I believe it. I know you are. Think about what Maya Angelou says. Do the best you can until you know better. Then when you know better, do better. If something I say feels painfully familiar, be gentle with yourself. Have gratitude for the insight and take it as a small sign that change is possible. Mistake number one, you're trying to think your way out of a body problem. Here's what happens. You think if you can just understand why it happened, get all the details, figure out the timeline, then you'll feel better. So you dig, you analyze, you create timelines, you build theories, you check phones, emails, messages, you replay conversations over and over and over. You analyze every late night at work, every time they seemed distant. And sometimes that feels necessary, right? Sometimes it even feels good. It's like you're taking back control. Like you're finally getting that one piece of truth that will make it all make sense. And then maybe you'll have your identity back. Maybe you'll have your family back. Maybe you'll have your life back. But here's what's actually happening underneath all the digging. You're feeding the hypervigilance. Every time you check, every search, every question, you are teaching your nervous system that it needs to stay on high alert to keep you safe. Trauma lives in your body, not in your thoughts. Your rational brain thinks it needs more information to make decisions, but your nervous system does not need any more info. It needs to feel safe. And you cannot think your way into feeling safe. You can't logic yourself out of a trauma response. This is a body problem that requires body-based solutions. And until you address the dysregulation in your nervous system, there is no amount of information, no matter how detailed or honest, that's going to make you feel secure. If you skip addressing your nervous system, you will stay trapped in hypervigilance for months and years. You cannot make clear decisions because you're always in fight or flight. You might leave in panic or stay in desperation. But either way, the decision is not coming from your wise and grounded self. Let's just say you find a way to bypass somatic and nervous system safety. Let's say you find a shortcut in the moment. That may help you in the moment, but the long-term consequences are real. Every time your partner is late, on their phone, out with their friends, your nervous system reactivates. You're constantly scanning for threats, bracing for that next betrayal. That is not a relationship. That is a survival state. You deserve better. Your partner deserves better, and your family deserves better. Mistake number 2, forcing yourself to trust again. This one is huge, and I see it all the time. You try to force trust. You delete the tracking apps, you white knuckle your way through it, you tell yourself to just get over it already and trust again prematurely. Here's the issue with that approach. Trust is something your body feels. You cannot force it. Trust is not a decision you make with your rational mind. It's a felt sense in your body that develops over thousands and thousands of very small moments and experiences with people you love, including your partner. Okay, so you might be saying to yourself, okay, Dr. Cammy, I hear you, but forcing trust has to be better than the pain I'm in 24/7. What's the harm of just trying it out? If I can make myself trust, so much would be fixed. When you force trust before your nervous system is ready, you are overriding your body's alarm system. And this creates a terrible internal conflict that can actually deepen the trauma response and make things worse. Your body is protecting you based on history, very real history that you all lived through. But you're basically saying, body, I don't care what you experienced. I don't care if you feel unsafe. We are plowing forward. We are trusting no matter what. And let me tell you, I get it. I understand that desire to just push forward. I know how much you want to heal. And I want to support you in doing the healing work that needs to happen, while at the same time honoring where your body and spirit are right now in the recovery process. Mistake number 3, waiting for the other person to fix you. You are waiting for apologies, you're waiting for answers, you're waiting for undisputable, undeniable proof. You think if your partner does enough, says enough, proves enough, then you'll finally feel better. But when betrayal happens, you lose trust in your partner and you lose trust in yourself, your judgment and your intuition in particular. The deeper wound I've seen is actually the trust you lose in yourself. Your healing cannot depend entirely on someone else's actions. The fundamental safety you need to rebuild is largely internal. Because when you make your healing dependent on someone else's choices, you give away your power. You stay stuck waiting, unable to move forward until they do exactly what you need, which frankly may or may not happen, or may not happen when you need it to happen. All 3 of these mistakes have the same root. They're trying to fix the situation before healing the injury. It's like trying to run a marathon on a broken ankle. No matter how determined you are, no matter how much willpower you have, your body must heal first. Your nervous system is injured. And until you address that injury, until you help your body feel safe again, you cannot think clearly, you cannot make good decisions, you cannot truly heal your relationship or yourself. Betrayal does not just break your trust in your partner, it breaks trust in yourself, in your own judgment, in your own intuition, in your ability to know what's real anymore. And that's the deeper wound here. It's not just, how could they do this? How could they betray me? How could they do this to our family and our children? Those are extremely painful questions. And the questions that are even more painful, the ones that haunt you, how did I not see it? How did I not pick up on this? How can I ever trust myself again? What did I do here? There's a Buddhist teacher, Pema Chudran, who talks about groundlessness. When the earth drops out from under you and everything you thought was solid reveals itself to be space. She says we spend our whole lives trying to find solid ground, but life keeps pulling it away again and again. And the only way through is to learn to live without ground, to learn to trust the falling itself. That's what betrayal forces us to confront, the groundlessness. The fact that the safety we thought we had was always, in some way, an illusion. That the only real safety is in learning to be okay with uncertainty. Let me be clear. This is not about accepting infidelity as okay. Infidelity is a wrong, period. Hard stop. What it is about, though, is accepting that you cannot control what happened. You can only control how you respond to what happened, how you heal from what happened, how you choose to rebuild, not your partner, but yourself after what happened. And this is why we need a framework that's evidence-based, that's actually used in trauma work, that works with your biology instead of against it. That's what I'm going to share with you next. The natural next question is, if those are the mistakes that keep us stuck, what is the thing that actually works? After years of working with people in my practice and seeing what genuinely helps people heal, I can tell you that recovery requires a specific framework, one that works with your biology, not against it. What works is treating betrayal as to what it actually is. It's a nervous system injury that needs to heal in stages. You cannot skip steps. You cannot rush the process. But when you follow this framework, healing happens. Not just coping, not just surviving, actual healing. Before you can process what happened, before you can make any big decisions, your nervous system needs to remember what safety actually feels like. This is not a cognitive undertaking. It's not telling yourself, okay, I'm safe now, or doing affirmations in the mirror every morning. This is about your body knowing that you're safe. We're teaching your nervous system, you are safe now in this moment. Think of it like a broken bone. First, you have to stabilize it. You set it, cast it, keep it still. Your nervous system is fractured right now. Phase one is the cast. And we do this through specific somatic practices, breath work and bilateral stimulation techniques that calm your amygdala, that fight or flight center in your brain, and bring your prefrontal cortex right behind your forehead back online. These are not just relaxation techniques, they're targeted practices that speak directly to your nervous system in the language it actually understands. In the stabilized phase, you will learn to sleep through the night without checking phones. You'll learn to eat again, even when your stomach is in knots. You'll learn to manage flashbacks and intrusive thoughts. You'll learn to ground yourself when you're spiraling and make decisions from clarity instead of panic. This phase creates the foundation for everything else. If you skip this, you will stay stuck in fight or flight. You will make decisions from panic, unable to access your wisdom or clarity. But when you stabilize your nervous system, it's such a beautiful thing for me to witness, for you to experience. You start sleeping through the night. You don't need to check phones. You stop compulsively going through messages. You can be in the same room as your partner or make decisions about your relationship without your heart beating out of your chest. That's when real healing can actually begin. That's when you start to think about the future without immediately spiraling. If you skip stabilization, you will keep torturing yourself for months or years. You'll make decisions you might regret later because they come from panic, not wisdom. You'll stay trapped in survival mode, unable to access the parts of yourself that know what you really need. And your nervous system will keep learning that love is not safe, which then becomes your baseline, your blueprint for every relationship thereafter. Processing and integration is where we use trauma-informed strategies to help your brain actually process what happened. And this is not about reliving the trauma. It's about metabolizing it and integrating it. Think of it kind of like digestion. Right now, this experience is stuck in your system, undigested. Phase two helps you process it so it can move through you instead of staying stuck inside your body. During this phase, we will also work with parts. The part of you that still loves them, the part that's furious, the part that blames yourself, they're all valid. They all have innate wisdom. Instead of trying to make one part win, we will help them all integrate so you have an integrated, cohesive voice in your healing. Rainer Rilke, another one of my favorite poets, wrote, "Perhaps all the dragons in our lives are princesses who are only waiting to see us act just once with beauty and with courage. Your dragons right now, the rage, the fear, the hypervigilance, they are not your enemies. They are your protectors who are still fighting a war that's long been over." Phase two helps those parts understand they can rest now. There is nothing more to fight. There's only space to heal courageously, confidently, with grace and fortitude. This phase is about learning how to process the trauma without re traumatizing yourself, integrate the different parts of your experience, the love, the anger, the grief, the hope, develop self compassion for both who you were and who you're becoming. Understand the meaning of what happened without being consumed by it, and work through stuck emotions in a way that's safe and unsustainable. This phase typically takes 3 to 6 months, though truly everybody moves at their own pace, and it's largely dependent on their history, their coping skills, their relationship, their support system, and other parts of life and identity that shape the experience of our healing. Phase three is all about reconnection and reclamation. This is where you discover who you are on the other side of betrayal, not who you were before. That person is gone. And honestly, that's okay. We have to shed that person. But who you are now, who is this version of you who survived something you thought would destroy you? This is not about moving on or getting over it. This is about integration, letting this experience become part of your story without it becoming the entire story of who you are. This is where you reclaim your sense of safety and your sense of self, your capacity for joy, your ability to trust, not blindly, but wisely and with great intention. Your power to choose the life and relationship you really want and deserve. And in this phase, you will start to realize something. The betrayal was a theft. I know that. I understand. It took something, and like I feel it, it took something huge from you. And your response, the way you move through the trauma, that is the reclaiming. It's the reclaiming of yourself. It's the reclaiming of your dignity. It is the reclaiming of who you are in the face of such tremendous adversity. You will ultimately come back to you at the end of this and re-meet yourself in a way that is so important and so vital. In this phase, you're learning to rebuild trust in yourself first, and then you get to decide about trusting others, including whether and to what degree to trust your partner again. You are reconnecting with meaning and purpose. You're establishing healthy boundaries from strength, not fear. You are making clear decisions about your relationship from a regulated place. You're discovering something profound. Growth that doesn't erase the betrayal, it alchemizes it. It becomes your superpower. You're stepping back into your life with agency. This phase often takes 4 to 6 months or longer, but here's what's different about this phase than the previous ones. By this point, you're not white knuckling life anymore. You're actually living again. This work in this phase, it's less about healing and it's more about thriving. And here's the beautiful thing about phase three. This is where you realize that while betrayal took something from you, your response to it, the deep work that you've done, it's actually given you something back, not a return to who you were, not that, a discovery of who you're becoming. These three phases, stabilization, processing, and reconnection, they're not just theory. They are a roadmap that hundreds of people have used to find their way back to themselves. Right now, I know that you are exhausted, and that's largely because you're half in. You're trying to heal, but you're also staying hypervigilant. You're trying to make decisions, but you're also in crisis mode. Another one of my beloved poets and narrative therapist, David White, who writes about love and work, said, "The cure for exhaustion, it is not necessarily rest. It is wholeheartedness." Healing requires wholeheartedness. And this framework, it gives you permission to be wholehearted in your healing, to commit fully to the process of coming back to yourself. This works because it follows the biology of trauma. Traditional therapy, I've done it. I've done it before. I've facilitated it. I've been a client in therapy. It starts with talking about what happened. That's why it's often not very effective for this, because when you start talking about what happened before your nervous system is regulated, you just end up re-traumatizing yourself because and you're reliving it all over again. And then you kind of end the session and you're worse off than when you began. Similarly, with traditional couples therapy, it often focuses pretty immediately on communication, rebuilding trust, and making decisions. You can't really do any of those things when you're not even safe in your own body. This framework respects the order of operations: safety first, processing second, rebuilding third. You will experience relief, whether you stay in your relationship or you leave. This is not about saving your marriage or ending it. Our work together is about saving yourself so then you can make an informed decision about your relationship. My approach, it's not like wishful thinking or new age philosophy, anything like that. It's based on decades of neuroscience and trauma research. So this draws from polyvagal theory and research by Dr. Stephen Porges. It's about how our autonomic nervous system responds to threat and safety. When betrayal happens, your nervous system gets stuck in a chronic state of threat detection. This framework uses specific techniques to help signal to your nervous system so it can begin to regulate once again. It's also informed by the work of Bessel van der Kolk, who showed us through decades of research that trauma lives in the body, not just in our memories, not just in our mind. That's why talking alone doesn't really heal trauma. We need body-based somatic interventions. It incorporates principles from dialectical behavioral therapy, just such a tender, beautiful, rich, evidence-based therapy practice developed by Marsha Linehan, which gives us evidence-based skills, like real in-the-moment skills for emotion regulation and distress tolerance, exactly what you need when your nervous system is really overwhelmed. It's based on trauma research showing that bilateral stimulation, techniques that engage both sides of the brain, both hemispheres of the brain, think like a rocking baby, or when you go on a walk and it makes you feel better at the end, it helps process traumatic memories. And it doesn't make you forget the memories. It just helps them lose their charge. It just like, wouldn't it be such a relief? It just, I think it would be a relief for you if you could talk about the betrayal, you could share the pain and the sadness of that event, but your whole body didn't have to be taken over and your whole day didn't have to be ruined, right? Like you could talk about this experience as part of your story, but you could still function. You could still be in control of your body. You could still make wise choices. That's the foundation of EMDR therapy, which has decades of research supporting its effectiveness for trauma. This is science. This is evidence-based. This is what works. We've talked about what's happening in your body. We've talked about the mistakes that keep people stuck. And we've talked about the framework that actually works. Now, I want to share with you how you can actually use this framework, how you can take everything that we've covered today and put it into practice in your own life. Because understanding is one thing. Having a roadmap that you can actually follow, that is something else entirely. It's a type of comfort we all really want. I've taken this three-phase framework, everything that we've been talking about today, and created a comprehensive educational program called Surviving Betrayal, Finding Safety and Stability After an Affair. This is a self-paced educational program designed for anyone recovering from infidelity, whether you're staying, whether you're leaving, or you're still deciding. Because honestly, you don't have to know what you want to do about your relationship to start healing yourself. It's 32 weeks. I wanted it to be really full. I wanted you to feel safe, that you were going to have a long runway. I wanted you to feel like there's resources and support across your journey. So it's in three distinct phases across several months. It's a complete recovery framework. It's not therapy, it's comprehensive education. This program includes evidence-based tools and practices that you can start using immediately. Whether you're trying to save your relationship, whether you're trying to leave it, or you're still ambivalent, you're still trying to figure out what you want to do. Let's talk about who this is for. So, you would be such a good fit if one, you're staying in your relationship, you're leaving, or you have no idea what you're doing yet with it. You do not need to have that figured out to start healing. Two, the betrayal happened 2 weeks ago or 2 years ago. I've learned over the years that the timing doesn't really matter. Whether you're in the immediate aftermath or you're realizing years later that you never actually healed, this framework works. Three, you're working with a therapist and you want structured support between sessions. This is a big one. Many people historically have used resources from me or programs from me as a way to augment their talk therapy. What else do I want to say about this? Therapists have generally been very welcoming of an augmented approach, and they find it helpful that there's an organized, structured framework that their client and them can use in between sessions to help them move through their healing process. The program is designed to meet you exactly where you are and walk alongside of you through all three of the phases. And we will walk at a pace that actually works for your nervous system, not some arbitrary timeline that doesn't make sense for your life or your body. It's important to know exactly what you're signing up for here. So let me walk you through what you actually get in each phase. So phase one is stabilization. This is where you're actually building your foundation. You will get nervous system education so you actually understand what's happening in your body and why. Grounding and regulation practices you can use anytime, anywhere, even at 2 a.m. when you're spiraling. Sleep protocols and rumination management techniques because you need to sleep and your brain needs to stop the obsessive looping. Boundary setting frameworks that actually work, not the kind that feel punitive or controlling, but the kind that actually help you feel safe. The complete foundation toolkit, everything you need to stabilize your nervous system. This is the cast for your broken body. This is what lets everything else become possible. Oh, also, I don't want to forget this. This is an important one. I do have something special for those of you who are watching live right now. I know it's late on the East Coast, so I want to thank people in other time zones from coming over. The first 10 people who enroll by midnight tonight are going to get personalized education guidance from me. So this is something normally people pay $600 on the hour for in private consultation. And today it's yours as a gift for taking action today. Here's how it works. After you enroll, you'll send me a specific question about your betrayal recovery situation. You can do a voice note, a video, or you can just write it in an email, whatever feels best. And then I will personally record a video response just for you. I'll share strategies and insights tailored specifically to your circumstances, to what you're actually going through. This is not therapy. This is educational guidance, but it is the same level of personalized attention and expertise you'd get if you did book a private consultation with me. The same depth, the same care, the same focus on your specific situation. But I'm only one person, so I can only do this for 10 people. That's it. So once those 10 spots are filled, this opportunity is gone. So if you're here live and you know you need this, this is your moment. Then we move to phase two. This is where the deeper work happens. This is where you're learning how to actually process what happened, not just understand it intellectually, but help your brain and body metabolize it. We're working with all those conflicting parts of yourself that feel at war with each other. We're building real self-compassion, not the fake, I should be nicer to myself kind, but really deep compassion that actually changes how you relate to the core of who you are. You're learning how to make meaning of this experience without letting it define you. And you're doing body-based practices that help release the trauma that's been stored in your tissues, because talking alone will not get it out. This is where the trauma stops being stuck in your body and starts moving through your body. This is where relief becomes palpable. Phase three is where you really start to reclaim yourself. In this phase, you'll work through rebuilding practices, rebuilding trust. And we start with self-trust first, because that's the foundation of everything. You'll go through identity reconstruction and future self-visioning, really exploring who you want to be on the other side of this. There's a values clarification process to help you figure out what actually matters to you now. You'll engage with post-traumatic growth practices, discovering what this experience, as awful as it's been, has opened up in you and for you. You'll also get a relationship decision-making framework so you can make clear decisions from a regulated, grounded place instead of panic and desperation. This is where you step back into your life with agency and choice. Now, every single week of this program includes video lessons where I walk you through the concepts so you're learning directly from me. You get guided audio practices that are about 20 to 30 minutes long, things you can actually do, not just hours of theoretical homework. You get worksheets to track your progress, to see how far you've come. Everything is designed to be digestible. Even when your concentration is completely shot and you cannot focus on anything for more than 5 minutes. Most of the daily practices take just 20 to 30 minutes. You can even break these practices up throughout the day or choose the ones that feel most relevant for you and just save the rest for later. I designed this program in this particular way because I know you do not have endless time and you certainly do not have endless energy right now. This is designed for real life, for where you actually are. When you enroll today, you'll also receive 2 bonuses. And I took a lot of thought into designing these bonuses because I wanted them to speak to what I've seen are the hardest moments in this process. Bonus 1 is emergency regulation. This includes 5 SOS audio guided practices. I wrote them for you. They're originally from me. I narrated them for you. Each one is 5 minutes or less. And I guess I kind of when I envisioned people using them, I pictured someone like up in the middle of the night, there's no one to call, you feel kind of alone, you're feeling dysregulated, and you use this. I pictured someone like preparing for an important talk at their job, and all of a sudden, like, panic just comes over you. You get a flashback, and you use some of these audio guided practices just like to have someone to ground you, to remind you that you're going to be okay and that your body's safe. That's what I pictured when I was figuring out like what to put in this bonus. Um, it's when you need support, anytime, anywhere. So do you remember earlier I talked about Pema Chudran? It's the Buddhist teacher. She has a concept called the pause. It's the moment when you're triggered, you actually have a choice. Like this is the trigger and then this is the reaction. So you have a pause. You can react from your wound or you can react from your wisest, highest self. The emergency regulation kit teaches you how to find that pause. Bonus two is the Conversations That Matter guide. This bonus gives you actual scripts for the difficult conversations you need to have with your partner, with your kids, family members who are asking questions you don't know how to answer. I created this bonus because I've seen so many people in my practice. Like, one of the hardest things is how do we explain this? Like, how do we tell our kids' teachers? How do we tell our in laws? How do I tell our friends, some of whom think we have the best relationship? Like, where do I even start? How do I share enough to be authentic? But how do I not share so much that I'm over disclosing and letting out too much of our business to the world? This bonus is really for when you don't know how to say what you really want, but you need to say it to the people who love you the most. These scripts will help you find your voice. They're a starting point. These two bonuses are free when you enroll today. Safety doesn't just start with you and your relationship, it also starts between you and me. Even though this is a big webinar, I'm in relationship to all of you right now. And your safety, your feeling of agency, it's important to me. And I want you to feel really confident in whatever you choose to do with all of this. I'm offering a 30-day satisfaction guarantee. Here's how it works. You'll access phase one and you'll work through the materials and you'll give yourself 30 days, like just to really engage with it, to internalize it, to practice it. If it doesn't feel helpful, I will just refund you. No questions asked. You don't have hoops to jump through. And part of the reason I can offer this guarantee is because I've already seen these things work. So I feel confident that they're going to work. But I also know you don't, who are you going to trust, me or your lying eyes? You need to see that it's going to work. And I want to give you that opportunity. You can try the program completely risk free. Let me share one example of someone who's worked through the program. And remember, this is one person's experience. It's not a guarantee of specific outcomes. That said, I did choose this case study because I think it's a good illustration of what's possible in this program. Sarah, we'll call her Sarah, enrolled in Surviving Betrayal 2 months after discovering her husband's affair. She told me, I was checking his phone every night. I wasn't sleeping, and I have a pretty big job. I make a lot of decisions, but I didn't even trust myself to pick what to eat for lunch after the affair. Within the first month, just working through phase one, which arguably maybe the most important phase because it's the foundational phase, she was sleeping through the night without checking phones. By month 9, she told me, I finally trust my gut again. Whether we stay together or not, I'm going to be okay. I feel like myself again. I'm strong, I'm clear, I'm back to being me. Sarah learned something crucial in the program. You don't suddenly wake up healed. You wake up one day and you realize, wow, I've gone 5 minutes without thinking about this. Then those 5 minutes turn into an hour. Then it turns into a half day. The trauma stops becoming the main character in your story and it starts becoming just a chapter. That's what the program does. It gives you back the story of your life. The real cost here is not the financial investment. The real cost is what happens if you don't heal this. This is I would say the most important message, forget about the program. This is the most important message I really need you to hear today. I believe in my program. That's why I'm here. And this program is not the only way to heal. At the end of the day, I want you to leave here knowing that healing is possible. Whether it's through this program or another path, you can do this. You deserve it. It's your peace of mind after all. It's your sleep. It's your ability to trust yourself. It's your capacity for joy, the quality of every future relationship you'll ever have. There's a Danish philosopher, Soren Kierkegaard, and Soren wrote, life can only be understood backwards, but it must be lived forwards. Right now, you're trying to understand backwards what happened, why it happened, how you missed it. That is important work. You also must live forwards. You need to take steps toward healing, even when you don't fully understand everything yet. You need to live forwards, starting now. Because the cost of waiting, it is not financial. It's your peace of mind. It's your rest. It's your ability to trust your intuition, your capacity for connection, the quality of your future relationships. That's what's actually at stake here. So here's what I want you to ask yourself. Are you ready to learn how to feel safe in your own body again? Are you ready to understand the principles that can help you sleep through the night? Are you ready to rebuild trust in your own judgment through evidence-based education? Are you ready to make decisions about your relationship from strength instead of panic? Are you ready to heal, whether you stay, leave, or are still deciding? If the answer is yes, here are your options. You can do a full payment of $497. For sure, that's the best value. Or you can do a payment plan, $47 for 12 weeks. Either way, you're going to get immediate access to phase one and the emergency regulation kit as soon as you enroll. You can start healing right now. If the answer is yes, if you're ready to invest in this educational journey, Surviving Betrayal is designed just for you. Are you ready to feel safe in your own body again? To sleep through the night? To rebuild trust in yourself? To make decisions from strength, not panic? To figure out the next step in your relationship? If that's a yes, you're who I created this for. You are the person I want to feel relief at the end of this. Another one of my favorites, Nayyirah Waheed wrote, and here you are, living despite it all. You showed up today, and that is a clear demonstration of your strength and your commitment. You are living despite it all. You're here. You're learning, you're trying, you're surviving. And now it's time to move from surviving to healing, from living despite it all to living because of it all, because you chose yourself, because you did the work, because you refused to let this wound define the rest of your life. This educational program provides structure, guidance, and evidence-based principles you can apply to your unique situation. This is you choosing yourself. This is you saying, I deserve to I deserve to learn how to feel safe again. I deserve access to education that can support my healing. I deserve to reclaim my life. That's what this program offers you. You can click the link below to enroll. You can choose your payment option. And remember, this is an important one. The first 10 people who enroll will have an opportunity to ask me a question by email, voice note, or video message, and I will respond directly to you by video with a tailored response specifically for you. This is your invitation to come home to yourself once again. I am here for you. The program is ready for you. I want to thank you for being here today. And most of all, I really want to thank you for believing in yourself and your remarkable, remarkable power to heal. I would love the opportunity to take some questions.
Yeah, let me go back to the top here, Cammy. Thank you so much for that beautiful, beautiful presentation. It was highly resonant for so many folks here. I'm just coming back. If anybody has a question, and for Dr. Cammy, and I encourage you to consider, this space and the kind of non-therapeutic nature of this space, but it is an educational program. And so if there's a way that you can direct your question towards like about the course or about how your particular situation might relate with the course or be supported by the course, this is what we have time for. I know that one question that did come up was a question around if pornography addiction qualifies as betrayal.
So there is a long continuum around what betrayal is. And one of the first things that when I do premarital counseling, for example, we talk about how each couple is defining betrayal. Most, if not all, couples that I work with have a conversation about pornography. And if someone here is asking if that is betrayal, I would imagine the reason you're asking that is because it wasn't known to you previously, there was no discussion around it, or it is impacting one or more core domains of functioning in your relationship. So if it wasn't previously discussed and you came to me and asked me about this as a couple, I would say, we have a problem because anything that disrupts one or more core domains of your relationship, intimacy, communication, emotional connection, parenting, social connections, that is a problem. And if a problem persists, despite the fact there's been an agreement to address it, that is called betrayal. Was that clear enough, Eden?
Yes, absolutely. I know that another question that came up was just the question around how to move forward when you still see the person that the spouse cheated on you with every week. Was one question that came up, and kind of like having to be in close proximity, either with the person that betrayed you or the person that they betrayed you with.
Taking a nice deep breath for that one. Also, the pornography one hit too. I just want to say, just checking in with my own emotions and responses. I think the pornography one left me with this really tight chest because I don't like that that's gray enough where your healing could be sidetracked around the question, is this betrayal enough? So I just want to say, like, I felt myself go like this around the pornography question. Immediately I could feel this sinking in my stomach around this question of like, how do I interface with this person who was complicit in my partner's poor decision making? Um, the I start with your own sovereignty and liberation. You can handle that however you want to handle it. You could find a new job. You could stay in your job and say, or you could stay, I don't know where this, let's just assume it's job, right? You can stay in your job and or your child's daycare and say, I'm not going to let this person take this away from me. You could leave and say, I am not going to subject myself to this day after day after day, or something in between. So I guess the first question is, what is your body, your spirit, and your mind really telling you that you need to do to heal? And then we work backwards from what are the skills that you need to do the thing. So obviously, if you decide I'm going to keep my child in this daycare, even though another parent had this infidelity, or my job, that's a different set of skills than I need to leave my job. I need to move to a different, whatever it is, that's going to be a different set of skills. The program does include a diverse array of skills that can be applied to whatever you decide is your next important step, and it'll help you make that step. This program is not going to decide your next step. It's going to equip you with the tools to make an informed decision and then to enact and embody the decision that feels best for you.
Beautiful. Thank you, Dr. Cammy. Okay, we got a few more questions rolling in here. So my husband continues to hide contact with affair partner after 4 years and half after promising to rebuild the marriage. I have hope, question mark.
Yes. Oh, um, I will never begrudge a person staying in a relationship that they still need spiritually, emotionally, psychologically need or want to stay in. It is not my role to tell you it's been too long, you have to get out. That I still have hope question mark indicates to me that I need to support you in getting back in touch with your intuition. I've met with people who have stuck with their partner through betrayal, through addiction for 10 years. And I've met with them 20 years later, and they say, I am so glad I did that. They turned it around, and we've had the best 20 years, and we're now going into retirement. I've had people who leave after they find out and they're one and done. And they know that that's the right step for them. It is not about the decision. It is about how you get to the decision, the narrative that you have about the decision, and then how you feel during the time you're engaged in the decision you chose, right? So I have hope question mark makes me wonder if that relationship to yourself needs a bit of bolstering and refinement. So you can then, it sounds like you are in it right now. So I want that to turn into, I'm in it. Here's my reasons. And I'm confident and I'm regulated in it, even though my partner's going back and forth, even though my partner's on their own journey. I'm in it for the messy journey my partner's going through. Girl, or you're not. It's fine. But you have to know why you're doing what you're doing and feel good about it. Good enough to be able to say it like I just said it, both ways.
Amazing. Thank you, Dr. Cammy. Another one here, is oversharing your betrayal a thing that is wrong and regrettable? My betraying spouse, 5-year full affair after 25 years of marriage, expertly hidden, feels my sharing my trauma and seeking support is more egregious and damaging to him than his adulterous affair was to me. Do I need to apologize and be more private and isolating of myself?
So what's interesting to me about this question, I haven't, yes, this is a topic of conversation a lot. I'm usually with a couple having this conversation, but just like in this strange webinar format, it brings me back like all the way to, I was a gender and women's studies like minor when I was in a master's program. And there were studies done about a particular village. And these researchers here took the stories and wrote a book about it and capitalized on it. And this has always stuck with me because the question was, whose story is this to tell? And the people from the village took issue with how their reality was represented to everyone. And I think it's a question fraught in dynamics of power and privilege. Absolutely. Um, I think that I know that as a fact. This is something that happened to both of you. And if we leave it at that, it strips away the power, right? This is something that actually happened to both of you, but you were the victim, soon to be survivor of this injustice. I would argue that you, and I would argue this in front of a couple sitting in front of me, you have the power to determine, not unilaterally, that's where we're going to get into the nuance, what you share and what you don't share with others. That said, the not unilaterally, I think there does have to be some. Now, I'm assuming you all are together. If you're not together, you're an independent person, you do what you want to do. You can't go on around spreading lies, right? But you tell your story how you want to tell your story. If you are an independent, separated, divorced person, if you are still connected to your partner, you have your story. You are entitled to it. You have more, in my opinion, more power to decide the parameters because you are the victim of this injustice. But it must be contextualized within a narrative for the couple unit. For example, we had a really hard 4 years after multiple, I'm making this up, this is not me. We had a hard 4 years after multiple miscarriages. We were struggling as a couple. Our communication eroded. My partner found solace elsewhere. He cheated, they kept going. I was devastated. I felt like they didn't care about me. They threw me out like trash. This is your shared story, and then your story that's a part of it, just like your partner gets a story that's a part of it. You each get your story, but it must be within a couple's narrative that you both agree upon. And then each of you are going to have to distress tolerance your way through each other's nuance of how this was experienced. Does that answer your question? Does that answer the question?
Yeah, yeah, it's such tricky stuff what you do here. Um, and um, I just want to double down on that last line. Do I need to apologize and be more private and isolating of myself?
No.
To be clear, to be
No,
clear.
absolutely not. I would continue to talk, continue to connect. And if you have your narrative and your partner's taking issue with it, I think the invitation is to, well, instead of let's talk about my experience, let's talk about our shared experience and how mine can fit within it. I think that's the invitation.
Mhm, mhm. Okay, I'm seeing a theme here. What do you see as the betrayer's part in healing? I'm gonna offer the next question that connects to it, I think. Does it really take two to rebuild? I'm all in. She needs to heal first and can't commit to working on it until she's healed and sees if there's a spark again. Okay, sorry, those are two different questions. What do you see as the betrayer's part in healing?
So the betrayer also must regulate their nervous system. Um, I, I I feel for the person who betrayed as well. The amount of shame and guilt is not quantifiable. I can feel it through the Zoom screen across the country. Many, many people who betrayed are deeply guilt-ridden, ashamed, confused on why they did this, right? Like many people don't have like a history of being a pathological liar. They're not a narcissist. Like there's like a normal person trying to get through this world, and constellation of variables left them making a decision that they regret later. Um, your partner cannot heal if you are racked with shame and guilt and parentheses martyrdom. You need to do this, all the same stuff we're talking about here. The person who betrayed needs to do too. Understanding mistakes happen, recognizing the gravity of the mistake, collaborating on how repair occurs, and then showing up for that repair well beyond, well beyond. Like this is when you think the repair should be done, and then like you go here. That's the work of the person who betrayed. Think of when you think it should all be over, and then you tack on like many standard deviations.
Mm.
The next other work of the betrayed, the person who did the betraying, this is actually both. Um, y'all need to learn how to comfort each other when you're triggered. The betrayed partner is going to, at some point in time, they're going to say, when are we going to get over this? That is an invitation that you're triggered and you need to use some regulation. And it is not your partner's responsibility to take care of you. And at the same time, there will come a point in time where your partner is going to have to learn how to care for you as you also recover. We don't start there, but we eventually have to get there. And likewise, from day one, you have to know how to attune to your partner's needs. You do not have to be a doormat. You do not have to be a punching bag, but you need to know how to comfort your partner when they're upset, how to have a conversation about a trigger, how to engage in tech transparency, even when it feels uncomfortable, and then be able to move on together.
Mm. Amazing. Yeah, I think that this does actually kind of really, so you kind of answered it, but just to be sure,
Yeah.
does it really, different question, does it really take two to rebuild? I am all in. She needs to heal first and can't commit to working on it until she's healed and sees if there's a spark again.
Hmm. Um, Eden, can you help me for a second?
Mhm.
This question is about the person who betrayed
That's
wants
what
to
I'm,
know, the
yeah,
person who's betrayed wants to know if they can heal because the partner who is the victim is off on their own journey trying to get the spark back.
yes, that's what it
Yeah.
sounds like. Yes.
Um, you need to ultimately heal. And like, so if you told me I've been working on myself for 2 years and my partner is still not ready to do this with me, yeah, that's a different story, right? I mean, that's a long time to be alone doing this work without any integrated stuff. But if this betrayal is new, like less than a year, new-ish, there's a tremendous amount of personal work you can do that facilitates a spark, that facilitates safety. So yes, ultimately you need two, but I think you have quite a few months to go before two is an absolute prerequisite to moving forward. Is that clear?
Mhm. Beautiful. Okay, we got time for a couple more here. And just, yeah, honoring everybody's courageousness. And it's just really hope, our hope is that you all see each other and each other's stories and just feel not alone and held in this web of humanity and also the fact that there's hope here, right? So another question, my husband found a younger version of me after 28 years of marriage a year ago. He wants to move with her and divorce me now. His affair partner does not know we had a normal life, eating, coffee, sleeping together until yesterday. I know I can cause a ruckus if I tell her that, and I am so tempted to punish them both for what I went through this year. How do I stop myself?
Okay, before we talk about stopping yourself, um, before we talk about stopping yourself, and this response is relevant to a lot of the other things that I'm seeing, like this question of how do I stop myself from X? Um, we need to first understand why you are inclined to do that. If we are in Scorpio season, if it is pure and utter revenge, that's important emotion. If it is to feel whole and vindicated and honoring your relationship, that's a different reason. If it's because you want to destroy your partner, like your partner destroyed you, that's like another path altogether. So before I tell you how to stop it, I first would like to ask you to consider why you want to do it and take that as a very important piece of wisdom on what is still healing here and what has been damaged. Because if you want to do that, to let this person know, I am real, I matter. We had a life before you brought yourself into a place where you had no business bringing yourself into. That's important. And what I would say to you is, I want to help you get there, but it's not going to be through that person.
Mm.
Big, big no. You're not going to get your validation through someone who didn't follow their scruples. Like that it doesn't even make sense, right? But if you tell me I want to stand up for myself, I want to find my voice again, I would tell you I want to do that. It's not going to be through talking to that person. We don't waste your voice on that person.
Mm.
So that's the first question. Why do I want to do this? What is it telling me about where I am in my healing journey? And then not how do I stop myself? I don't want you to stop yourself from anything that's going to facilitate your healing. It's definitely not cussing that person out, but it is going to be what can I then do for myself to get this thing healed that emerged from my desire to let someone have it, right? So sit with the let them have it, figure out why you want to let them have it, and then let's find another channel that gets that need filled.
Mm. Amazing. Thank you. Okay. Couple last ones that I think yeah, connect to everything here. So I know he loves me. He's incredibly remorseful, doing therapy and all the things, but it has taken,
Oh,
it's
wait,
been what?
did you, you see, then again, yes, we all go through the burn it all down phase. I'm sorry, start again.
Full transparency, Cammy and I are Scorpio, so
We are.
um, we get the burn it all down phase. Okay. He loves me. He's incredibly remorseful, doing therapy and all the things, but it has been 12 months of trickle truths. I think I can get to a point to feel safe with him in the future, but how can I feel safe about my past, never knowing if all is finally out? And how important do you think the past is for healing?
Ugh. So when I'm working with Liz, so when I'm working with couples new to my practice, I bring the partner who betrayed aside and I say, I know you're not going to listen to me. I already know you're not going to listen to me. You have to tell everything. You have to. I'm begging you. Please tell everything. They don't listen to me. They usually listen to me after the first thing is found out because we start getting on a roll and they're like, oh, we can heal from this. And then they really don't want to tell the thing. And then the partner finds out, and we're not just back to square one. We're like in some negative square. And then I say, are you going to say everything now? And we create a safe environment and they say everything. Now, here's the quandary that I say to the betrayed partner. We need to figure out there's rocks, there's pebbles, and there's sand. You're never going to know all the sand. You're never going to. It's never going to happen. You will only know some pebbles. You must know all the rocks. Absolutely no exceptions. You must know if this was a physical infidelity. You must know how many times around about this happened. You must know if the affair partner ever met your children. You must know what that person knows about you and your family. You must know if this person had access to finances. You must know the health conditions of this person and what kind of protection was used. And there's a couple of others. I will die on the hill for the betrayed partner to know every single rock. I will go to every length to make sure those things happen. And then I need to work with the betrayed partner on the pebbles in the sand, because you can't go back to square one when you find out they happen to go to the same city you had your first date in. You can't live like that. Likewise, your partner can't hold a major part of the infidelity from you. So we are in a betwixt and between. And again, this goes back to intuition. What information do you really need to know for your own psychological safety? And what information do you want to know because you feel helpless, you feel out of control, and is actually just going to torture you?
Amazing.
Did that answer?
Yeah. We're going to slide in one more question here.
Oh, what if they say they can't remember? Ugh. Unless there was active addiction happening, uh, they remember, right? Unless there's, a medical issue, dementia, Alzheimer's, active addiction, rocks can be remembered. Now, someone might say, I'm not willing to share the rocks, or I can't remember. You then have a choice, because that's a whole different set of skills. If someone can't remember, that's another choice for you. There are skills where you can sit and be in a relationship with not remembering. Do you want that path, or do you want a different path?
Speaking of addiction, this was the final question. So, because this came up a few times in a few different ways. So, my husband was in active addiction when he cheated. He ended up going to a rehab and has been sober for a year now. Then I found the texts. He had no intention of telling me. He said he has changed and was a different person back then. What is the connection between addiction and infidelity?
These are one of the harder ones. Addiction, I've had a fair number of people come to me where their partner was in a manic episode. Their partner was addicted to substances at the time. Their partner had a pornography addiction. Um, I There's a lot of different ways to enter this conversation. It's odd on like an anonymous webinar. I think I would say, broadly speaking, you're now partnered with someone who has a chronic illness, right? So just like bipolar 1, just like psychosis, just like Alzheimer's, just like your partner needing an amputation, your relationship now has a third party, chronic illness. The question then becomes, how do you and your partner relate to chronic illness? It's you, your partner, and addiction. Um, that's where the conversation begins. So once you now know you're bipolar 1 and you're manic, that is not an excuse anymore. We need to set up systems so when you're in active addiction, or when you're near active addiction, or when your major mental health issue is showing up, we are shoring you up, your couple system up, so that third party intruder doesn't mess up the dynamic that you have. So then the question becomes, if you make an agreement with your partner around addiction, around chronic illness, and they betray that agreement, that is another betrayal. The hard part about recovering from infidelity when there's major mental illness or addiction is that we are now at risk for a subsequent betrayal, not betrayal with another person, betrayal of the agreement you have around the illness that is the protection for the another infidelity. So it's multi-layered, right? So if you make an agreement about addiction, yeah, no beer and wine. Like this is not a no hard alcohol. We are sober and your partner goes out and has just a beer. I would say that that is now a second infidelity that you now are contending with. That is how I see the relationship there.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Dr. Cammy. Thank you all here tonight from all over. Our hearts are with you. I'll let Cammy close out, but just wanted to say thank you all for your courageousness in being here and showing up today, and in, yeah, just allowing yourself to believe and know and trust that there is absolutely hope and healing on the other side of this, and you deserve it.
Thank you. I appreciate everyone. This felt emotional to me. I felt really present and connected to all of you. I care about you. I want you all to succeed. And I hope to see you in the program. I hope to see you in my practice. I just sending good energy to you, lots and lots of love, and I will talk to you later. Bye.